back 1,000 years, even 2,000 to Hippocrates, it was common knowledge that fasting was good for us. And as consumers and companies were, motivated to make us eat more, we were taught and marketed at so that we would eat 3 meals a day and snacks in between. And, you turn on TV and that's what everyone's saying. You got to eat all the time. And that's a great way to sell a lot of products, but it's also harmful. And we've shown in my lab and in hundreds of labs actually around the world that you don't want to always be hungry, full. You want to be hungry some part of the day. And as long as you're not starving or you're malnourished, it's actually very beneficial. Now, it's different if you have a disease. If you have type 1 diabetes or some other metabolic condition, that's different. Talk to your doctor about that. But people like us who have regular metabolism, eating 3 meals a day, I think, is the worst thing you can do. Your body will eventually just become complacent, not turn on the body's defenses. And so you can actually feel pretty good by being hungry during the day. And we've shown in many different species, from mice to dogs to monkeys, that being hungry in the long run is very good for you. You don't want to eat late at night, typically because the period of fasting that's beneficial will extend through the night. And I'm prone to snacking late at night. It's stress relief for me. But I try not to. I try to finish eating around 8 o'clock at night. Some people try it earlier. But it's good for me because I skip breakfast. And so that gives me that whole 18 hours of not eating a lot. I think that probably it's important to go without 1 meal a day, either evening or morning, so you get that long sleep cycle. But honestly, that we debate this all the time about which is the best diet. And some people say fast for 3 days, fast for a week, 2 days a week, 18 hours. We really don't know. But what I can tell you, it's similar to exercise, that doing nothing is the worst you can do.
Right.
But doing a little goes a long way.
What's the minimum period of fasting that's truly a fast?
Oh gosh, it's a spectrum, but I would think if you forced me, it's more than 12 hours.
Okay.
Because we know that we don't eat during the night, and so the average person has always fasted for 12 hours a day, typically, and that doesn't give you more than an average life. So you need to go beyond that. So I try to do 18.
Well, I've made plenty of mistakes. I don't talk about my mistakes as much as I should probably, but I've had times where I ate the wrong things and ate too much and gained weight, and my inside tracker results were horrendous.
Did you ever make any mistakes in fasting? Like when it comes to fasting itself, because you've tried different kinds of fasts, which one really, really didn't work for you?
Well, they were all beneficial. Skipping the breakfast was good. I think what got me into trouble was when I tried to do it without preparation. So I said, okay, I'm going to just skip lunch and go to dinner without knowing how to do that or being in the right mindset. And I had to quit multiple times. I spent years trying to do this. I could never get rid of my love handles. And this final time that worked for me worked because I found a trick. And that trick, I'm not going to tell you. Oh, I'll tell you.
No, you have to.
The trick is that you want to fill your body with fluids. For me, constant coffee, tea, hot water, all the way through the day, being hydrated and filled with liquid takes away any feeling of hunger. Also nuts. If you really you need to eat something, a bit of protein is known to take away the feeling of hunger rapidly.
Yeah, this is what my buddy, the cardiologist, John Day, tells his patients when he's working with them is like, look, if you got to eat, just start with a handful of nuts and just give me 20 minutes after that. You're not going to be hungry after 20 minutes.
So there's an interesting story about the role of protein in hunger, and it was first discovered by a friend of mine, Stephen Simpson, in Australia, and he was studying locusts, and he found out that what turns a locust into a swarm was a lack of protein, and when they get too low in protein, they go crazy.
The locusts get hangry.
And they start eating each other. It's that bad.
Yeah. And everything else in their sight.
Yeah, and we even see this in the mice that we have on low protein diets. They get super mad and they even attack each other. So you don't want to be too low in anything. You don't want to be hangry. But getting back to what really works for me is I've trained my liver to produce enough sugar that I don't feel hungry anymore. And if I do, I'll keep drinking liquids. And if I get really hungry, I'll nibble on some nuts. And that for me has worked really well. I've got my 20-year-old body back for the first time in my life. And
but you are going to be
gonna
hungry. Anybody who starts this, they're going to be hungry at first.
Of course.
They're going to be hungry at first.
It's not easy. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but it's worth it. By the way, intermittent fasting, I learned about a month ago, is the most popular diet in the US. We talk about it in the book. That might be part of it. But yeah, it's important that we add the AN at the end because we need the adequate nutrition. And there's one sponsor we haven't mentioned, which is Athletic Greens.
Jesus.
But this is true. The reason that I drink Athletic Greens.
You're really good at working these in.
Well, they're important to us. But the important part is that the adequate nutrition is necessary. Otherwise, you're going to be causing more harm than good. So when I take Athletic Greens, I drink it in the morning. I know I'm getting all those nutrients that I might not get during the day. Right. Well, the big killer is sugar. Yeah. Glucose, particularly fructose, is also pernicious. And if you give animals lots of glucose, and especially fructose, they will get fatty liver disease. They'll get diabetes. It's really bad. And
why?
Well, why? Well, there are two reasons that glucose is bad when it spikes. Three, if you include the brain fog. But let's just talk about physiology here. One is that you're going to have glucose attached to proteins that makes them glom up. Think of it like caramelized body parts. This will ultimately lower your longevity, reduce your longevity, give you type 2 diabetes and probably cardiovascular disease on top of that. So that's one, keep those glucose levels down. But also what glucose is going to be doing to you at high levels is shutting off those protective mechanisms. Remember, particularly AMPK and the sirtuins, they get switched off by sugar. So by having that up for most of the day, if you're eating 3 meals plus snacks, your defenses against disease and aging are going to be working at a minimum. So instead, keep those glucose levels low and consistent. You won't get the brain fog. You'll get fewer proteins modified that'll lead to disease. And thirdly, importantly, you'll actually stimulate your body's natural defenses against disease and aging.